Wicked, the brand new Sable Ward perk that allows you to unhook yourself when you're in the basement. It also allows you to see the killer's aura for 20 seconds. When I first read about this perk, I figured this was going to be the nail in the coffin for all those basement builds. I hit up my friend who's a killer main and told him to kick rocks, bozo. Then I slapped this perk on and queued up to go taunt some killers. That was until I realized, just like Deliverance, this perk only works on your first hook. Why can't survivors ever have anything nice? You're telling me Behavior couldn't make a feature that allows you to unhook yourself on hook stage 1 and 2? Like, what are the chances your first hook is in the basement? Well, actually, you might be surprised. I'll go over how many times I got value from this perk, but more importantly, we're putting Wicked through our trademark 1 to 22 star rating system. Wicked and Deliverance share a lot of similarities, but which one is better? Deliverance is triggered after you successfully unhook someone. Wicked is triggered by the basement. Both can only be performed on your first hook stage. After unhooking yourself with Deliverance, you become broken for 60 seconds. After you unhook yourself with Wicked, you see the killer's aura for 20 seconds. After comparing the two, I assume Deliverance is still the superior perk, just because the control is still in your hands. As long as you keep yourself off hook at the start of the game, you ensure that you get some value out of this perk, while Wicked is just up to the luck of the draw. But I had to dig a little deeper to see if my assumptions were true. If you're running Wicked, you need to be strategic about what generators you're working on. Like Strength and Shadows, you can stack the deck in your favor by keeping yourself in the generators near basement. Once the chase starts, you need to beeline it towards the basement without making it too obvious to encourage the killer to hook you in the basement. If basement's in shack, you're in luck. Run shack as long as you can until you go down. If the basement is somewhere else on the map, well, you're just gonna have to get creative. And for the love of God, do not run this perk on Sable Ward. If you think any killer is hooking Sable in the basement, you have another thing coming. I think the perk combo that makes the most sense to run with Wicked is Boil Over. That way, if you go down near the basement, the killer will have no choice but to hook you in the basement. I also ran Power Struggle and Flip Flop just to make sure that if the killer decided to take me away from basement, I would almost certainly wiggle free. Side note, for whatever reason, I always thought Flip Flop was called Flip or Flop. You know, like that show on HGTV where the couple would flip houses together, but then they got a messy divorce, yet they still decided to get the bag and do the show together, which made it even more entertaining because they would fight about every little decision. Regardless, I guess Flip Flop makes a lot more sense for an Ash perk. It's pretty fun crafting an entire build just to get the killer to hook you basement, but then it sucks when the entire team comes running to unhook you anyways. Like all the other Sable Ward perks, I definitely recommend being in a Swift to get full value from this perk. That way you can just let your teammates know to carry on business as usual to get full value from Wicked. Just like Deliverance, the benefit of a perk like Wicked is to allow your teammates to continue to work on gens and not have to come save you. But because there's no way for your teammates to see your perks in the pregame lobby, in solo queue, multiple people will still get off their gens and begin to head towards you, which is very thoughtful, but it kind of ruins the whole idea behind this perk. I have a lot of issues with Wicked, not so much the perk itself, but the gameplay as a result of this perk. Like Strength and Shadows, you have to be glued to the generators around basement at the start of the match. There is no guarantee a killer will hook you in the basement. If you do get hooked basement, your team will probably still try to come save you, which defeats the whole purpose of the perk. You'll probably have to unhook yourself fast so your teammates don't lose too much time running your way, which is why it's actually important to see the killer's aura because they'll probably still be close by. Then you have to put on your best moves to avoid getting tunneled. And yes, you can run an anti-tunnel build, but then you risk the chance of not getting put in the basement on your first hook. That's why a combination of Boil Over and some anti-tunnel perks is probably the best. I also mentioned it before, but it seems like you should be able to escape on both your first and second hook stage in the basement. That would actually make this perk pretty strong. Now, during this video, you may have noticed I was getting a lot of value out of this perk. So it's a pretty good perk, right? Wrong. I was only able to use Wicked twice in about 10 matches. Now, these numbers will probably get better in the future because I had killers refusing to hook me in the basement, knowing I probably had Wicked. I had to call up my buddy Spitfire to test this perk out in a private lobby because I had zero content to work with. Is Deliverance a better perk? In my mind, yes, and it's not even close. But is Wicked a strong perk? No, not really. It's gonna get a 12 out of 22 stars from me, which makes it slightly better than Invocation Weaving Spider. You can watch that video right here.